Hey guys, it's Ryan with Fluid Health, bringing you another episode of Science-Powered Fitness. And today we're going to talk to you about a concept called regional distortion syndrome. And the regions are the joining segments of the skeletal system that attaches your limbs to your canister. So again, I'm just going to show you on our skeletal model here. This is basically showing the anatomy. So we have the rib cage, and then we've got this shoulder joint. And this is made up of 4 real joints here. But really what we're talking about for the regional distortion is the way that the shoulder, the scapula, so the actual scapula here, how it glides about the trunk. So when you breathe in, your ribs will expand on the front, and then the shoulder will tip backward inferiorly. When you breathe out, it'll roll forward. So the trunk moves underneath the scapula as you breathe, and it changes the relative orientation of the shoulder as it sits on top of it. So oftentimes when you're working with shoulder issues, you're just working on the relationship of the shoulder itself moving about the trunk, and that's called scapulothoracic rhythm, or the glenoid and the humerus and the relationships of those two joints, or those two segments at that joint, glenohumeral rhythm. But what we're saying is that there's a distortion from the trunk itself. So that means the way that you breathe and how you position your trunk, which is described by these little angles at the rib here. So that's called your infrasternal and cartilaginous. It has to do with these bottom ribs being suspended by cartilage and these being controlled by bone structure, so bony, and then the bottom 5 are cartilaginous. And those cartilaginous are held down by your abtone, and the abs are again antagonistic of your diaphragm. So that means when you breathe in, your abs stretch. When you contract your abs, your diaphragm stretches. So that interplay of force on the rib changes the way that the ribs expand and move under the shoulder, and then can create again a distortion for the base of support, which is the mass that the shoulder sits on, and then how you organize the relationship of the shoulder about it. And that, my friends, is called regional distortion syndrome. So it means that we're working on the region and its distortion for movement associated with lack of center of gravity, and again, altered breathing patterns and abdominal control. So there's a little bit more to work on than just the shoulder or the movement of the arm in the shoulder if you want to change the organization of the region and the force transmission into the limb. So oftentimes we don't move from center into the region, into the limb, and so we create imbalances in the force production, which leads to altered patterns of movement for the joints, and then they get into that arthrokinematic pathology. So again, bad movement, it's called pathokinesiology, right? So you're moving incorrectly through the whole structure, and then the local pathoanatomy and pathoarticulation is the symptom or the side effect of that pathokinesiology or altered global movement. So once again, think global, not just regional or local. Regional distortion syndrome, just another thing to think through. Are you working on your trunk position when you're working on your shoulder? If not, think about it, big picture. Questions on it, admin@fluidhealthandfitness.com. Body's designed to move, stay in motion. We'll see you next time.